There we go. What could go wrong? Now it should not be on mute. The problem is tonight, I'm running this as my first live show, actually, all on my own. We don't have the technical wizards and gurus that are Russ and Anton. So I was going to say what could go wrong. In fact, I already said that, but none of you heard me because it was on mute. So we're going to start again. Tonight, we've got our Europa League game against Freiburg. So it's definitely an exciting one. How is everyone? Tonight, I'm going to be running the predicted starting 11 show. If you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up so that we know that you did. I want to make tonight's show as interactive as possible. So keep the comments coming in, and I'm going to be featuring as many of them as I can throughout everything that we chat about tonight. It's going to be a load of fun. We've officially got less than 2 hours until the fun begins, and not long at all until the actual lineups are announced. We're going to be chatting through all of that, which is going to be loads and loads of fun. We've got lots of people that are clearly very excited. Come on, you irons. We've got some Germans in the chat. We've got lots of comments about that time where I accidentally muted this. But we'll just scroll past those. Most importantly, come on, you irons. So let us know where you're watching from. Let us know how you're feeling as well about tonight's game. We are definitely starting to feel like the countdown is on. And we're going to be running through injuries. We're going to be talking about our Europa League journey so far, which has been exciting from the little bits and the little glimpses that we've seen. And we're going to be looking at Freiburg and the threat that they pose tonight, as well as what we can expect to see. Pete's not German. Pete isn't German, but Pete speaks great German. So let's run through, first of all, injuries. For anyone that hasn't seen, we've got a few injuries that are expected to play a little bit of a part in tonight's team selection. So Aaron Cresswell is still recovering from his hamstring injury, which seems to be going on a little bit. And Ben Johnson has got a tight groin, meaning neither of them are expected to feature in tonight's game. Antonio has also not travelled to Germany. Moyes has said that he's got some tightness in his adductor following on from our 2-0 win against Sheffield United. So we aren't going to be taking any risks with him either. He's also added that he's unsure whether he'll be fit for Newcastle at the weekend, which is a little bit of a concern, but time will tell. Antonio is one that definitely he is a difficult one because I've been in the boat of we need to replace him so many times. And then I'm like, oh no, but there he is causing havoc and scoring some goals. And no one can quite do what Antonio does. But does that mean it's right that we have a player like Antonio where he's just like he can do it on his own up top, but it's not necessarily a good thing, is it? So that's the old Antonio debate, but let's not go into that yet. But Moyes has said that the plan is to get Antonio fit for a few days of training if possible, and then see how he is doing in his recovery. There were also doubts over Jarrod Bowen, as he was seen looking pretty uncomfortable at the end of our last Premier League game. He was hobbling around. However, he has travelled, so he is hoping that that is nothing serious so far. Now, we're going to start by just having a little run through of our Europa League journey so far. So, West Ham, we're in a good position so far. We're topping Group A after beating Serbian side FK TSC back at Topola 3-1 in the opener. Freiburg beat Olympiacos 3-2 away, putting us just ahead of them. So we now face our toughest test of the European journey so far this season in our Group A tie away at SC Freiburg. Now, it might be a little bit more tricky given that we have no fans tonight after we've been banned from travelling to this fixture by UEFA. This was, of course, after the incident in the Conference League final, which saw us receive a £50,000 fine and a European ban for our first 2 fixtures away from home. For anybody that isn't aware, our group consists of us, Bacca Topola, Freiburg and Olympiacos. So we've got some games coming up that will no doubt be a test. But how do you think we can all actually do in Europa League? I am actually quietly confident. Now, after the Conference League, I feel like hopes, they're pretty high, aren't they? Like we've all got big expectations because we've got that little taste for success and we want those away days now. So we want to step up another level and keep all of this going. Have I seen the squad that flew out? So I've not seen the exact squad. I've seen lots of rumours about who is and isn't potentially in the country. So it will be an interesting one. The injured will not be missed. This is true. We're just going to make the most of what we've got tonight. And I think, if anything, it should give us an opportunity to play some of the players that are just on the outskirts of the starting 11, players like Mabama, dare I say, might be able to finally make a bit more of an appearance. And yeah, we're going to be running through my predicted starting 11 in a second, see if I can get it right finally. So yeah, kickoff is at 5:45 p.m. tonight. Stay tuned though, because we're going to be carrying you all the way through every bit of the action tonight, throughout the whole evening, in fact. So we've got my predicted starting 11 show up first. Then we've got a match day live, which is going to take you through the game with the guys, followed by a highlight show where we're going to run through all of the action and analyse, hopefully, all the great things from the 90 minutes. And we should, fingers crossed, here's hoping, have another win to celebrate as we continue our European journey. So make sure you don't miss out on tonight's West Ham Network content. It's going to be great fun. If you want to watch the game, you can watch it on TNT Sports 2 with coverage starting at 5 p.m. But we're also here covering all of the action for you live on West Ham Network. So you don't need to go anywhere. Or you can have us on in the background of that so that you can join in with the conversation throughout the game. What is the team news? Any surprises? Now, personally, I don't think we're going to see too many surprises. I say that, I might come up with the world's worst predicted starting 11 that you're going to see in a second. Guten Tag to everybody. Then what else have we got? Just looking through your comments. If you haven't as well, just keep joining in with the conversation because I'm going to be featuring everything that you are chatting about tonight. We'll run back to this, in fact, about Bowen's contract in a little bit once we've spoken about the game tonight. But there are 13 players on higher wages than Bowen. Very, very interesting. I back at Topola tonight. Very nice. We're getting all the German comments. We're testing my GCSE German. I can't remember half of it, so I don't know what you're all on about. So in terms of what we can expect, I'm expecting a pretty similar lineup to how we set up against Bacca Topola. I think there will be a few changes based on the injuries that we've got. There are some things that we know almost for sure, including our goalkeeper and the fact that Mabama and Marshall are probably not going to get a look in at starting lineup, are they? But we're going to be looking at that in a little bit more detail. So let's all take a peek, but let me know throughout this what you think of the starting 11, what you think of my predicted starting 11. Now, bear in mind, this isn't who I would start if I was David Moyes, but this is who I think David Moyes is going to be starting. And for anyone that doesn't know, I'm historically terrible at predicting our starting 11, especially in Europe. But today we're giving it a go. I've got my crystal ball out. I'm channeling my inner David Moyes. And here is how I reckon we could line up against Freiburg tonight. So up first, kind of a no-brainer. We have Fabianski. Now, we know that we are using Superfab as our cup keeper, so this one is almost certain. He's a solid choice of goalkeeper, and this is going to give him more game time, which we know he was gutted to miss out on when Areola became our first choice goalkeeper. Then at left back, we have Emerson. With no Cresswell or Johnson, it's made this an easier decision. Emerson has also got the pace to get down that left wing quickly. Given the state of the pitch, which we're going to look at in a little bit more detail in a minute, being able to run with the ball is probably going to be more important tonight than it ever is in the Premier League. Then at centre-back, we have Ogbonna. He did make that mistake against Bacca Topola in our last Europa League game. I'm confident that the nightmares that he probably can't stop seeing every time he closes his eyes as a result of that will stop it happening again, and he'll probably be a little bit more on his toes and aware of somebody coming to steal the ball from him. But he's always a strong option for a player that rarely plays as well. I really, really rate Ogbonna. When we gave him the extension, I was happy to see that. Obviously, I know he's not the future of the club in terms of where we're hoping to go and how we're going to improve, but he is pretty solid as someone that you can just bring in when you need a helping hand. And of course, that does mean that we can rest Zuma. Oggy is joined by Mavropanos at the back, is what I reckon Moyes is going to be doing tonight, meaning he gets more minutes. He's had a fantastic start to life at West Ham, and I'm sure he's going to be keen to prove himself with Zuma being in fantastic form, but again, having made some mistakes recently. So let us know as well in terms of what you think we should be doing on an ongoing basis. Should Aged still be making our starting 11, or should Dinos start to be sneaking his way into there? Either way, I'm sure he's on a mission to show what he can do and make it very difficult for Moyes to leave him out of the starting 11 in the future. Up next, we have got Mr. Thilo Kehrer at right back, if I had to guess. Now, he's got pace, which, as we know, it can save him even if he tries to make like an absolute, well, when he has a howler, Kehrer sometimes positionally, not always perfect. Quite often he will get caught out, but his pace means that he can just recover. He can get back goal side, which is something that obviously Soufal does struggle with at times. His pace isn't always there. It means that we can rest Soufal, obviously playing Kehrer at right back. And I'm interested to hear who you would actually like to start tonight, but also on an ongoing basis out of Kehrer and Soufal, because I know that a lot of people have been getting quite frustrated with Soufal's performances. But he is also racking up the assists this season, so it does make it a tricky one. Or is it just that Kehra's not getting enough game time? And with a bit more game time, maybe he could be getting those assists. Then in midfield, I would be putting Alvarez as the more defensive of the three. So Moyes spoke really positively, actually, about Alvarez, which we rarely hear with new signings. He's usually shows a little bit of tough love, doesn't he? But having made a smooth transition from the Eredivisie to the Premier League, and he's proven himself to be a strong, solid, energetic central midfielder, even if he does love a yellow card here and there. So his natural urge to play as the more defensive of the centre mids has also had a lot of other benefits. We've seen the improvement in Souček's performances. He's got a bit more of a free role now, which means that he can push up because we do have a defensively minded one in that position that isn't sort of wanting a free roam, and it is leading to more goals. So Moyes said about Alvarez, he's done incredibly well and he started fast. He's a really good man to have around. He's a good professional and settled in really well. I think coming into the last 15 minutes of games, he's found it physically demanding, but I have to say he's doing really, really well. So that's something that we have seen. He does get a little bit tired. But obviously, it's a new league, it's a new challenge, and I'm sure fitness will pick up with a little bit more time with the team. So I reckon that we may well be playing Alvarez to just get him a bit more game time, get him a bit more match fit. So hopefully it's not long before he can perform at that high intensity for the full 90 minutes. So while he's already slotted straight into the team, it sounds as though he's nowhere near the peak of what he might be capable of, particularly when he gets up to speed, quite literally. Next, we have Fornals that I reckon will be sitting ahead of Alvarez. We all love Fornals. He deserves as much game time as possible. He's got really unlucky in that he doesn't fit into our usual starting 11. His through balls are fantastic, and hopefully he can help us make something from the possession that we're able to get tonight. There are, of course, options, including Ward-Prowse, which Moyes could choose to play instead of him or Alvarez. I would like to see Fornals there. Then Paqueta is the final player in that central trio for me. Nightmare for defenders, and obviously it should help us to actually break them down. Interestingly, we started strong players in these positions against Bacca Topola, and then we struggled to turn possession into chances. So I would definitely keep him in the starting 11. And hopefully we've learned from our mistakes and we can make life difficult for Freiburg tonight. We have got Benny on the left wing. I'm desperate to see him get the ball into the box more and make some brilliant deliveries. They're going to have to be accurate, as we know Freiburg are good in the air. Going to touch more on that in a minute as well. So the pressure will be on, and Cornet will be keen to get the opportunity to play. If Benny isn't up to the job, I reckon Kudus will be on the right wing as well. So there we go. He is going to be able to run through the lines, which is something we've seen him doing so far, which will actually play perfectly into our hands if the playing surface is bobbly, which we believe it's going to be incredibly bobbly. That's a technical term, but this is a great replacement for Bowen, and it should also help us to keep the pace up and make life really hard for Freiburg. And then I expect us to have Ings up top. This would not be my choice, just to state that before I get slated, but it is what I expect Moyes to do. We know how persistent he can be when he believes that a certain player is the right choice. Without Antonio, I'm even more desperate to see Mabama play, but I think it's most likely that that's going to be off the bench instead of in the starting 11. We do also have options, obviously, to use Bowen, Kudus, Cornet, people like that as the more attacking player, which Moyes does seem to lean towards. So there we have it. That is my predicted starting 11. I know that the starting 11 officially is going to be out very shortly, so we'll be sharing that with you as well. But that is who I expect to see against Freiburg. Have I got it right? Let me know. I do not know. Probably haven't. But let us know your thoughts. And also anything different that you would like to see tonight. Like I said, I've been pretty bad at predicting these historically, but could tonight be the night? Let's find out, basically. Probably not, let's be honest, though. So just going to have a look through some of your comments. Hope Kudus starts. I would love to see more of Kudus. I think it's going to be fantastic. Oh, just looking. I think we may well have some updates on the team. So From the looks of it, it looks as though we have got, let's quickly jump back to what the predicted lineup was and see how close it is. We have got Fabianski in goal, which we all expected. We've got Sufal, which is interesting. Mavropanos, Ogbonna, who will be captain. We've got Kera. Okay, so no Emerson there. Interesting. We've got Alvarez, Ward-Prowse and Paqueta in that trio. So no Fornal starting there. We've got Ward-Prowse starting in the place of him. We've got Kudus, Cornet and Bowen. So we haven't got Ings starting, which is probably music to many people's ears. We've got Kudus starting. So he is going to be starting, as you asked for here, Robert. A little bit more game time for him. Very, very exciting. So let us know your thoughts on that lineup. One more time, that's Fabianski, Sufal, Mavropanos, Ogbonna, Kera, Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, Paqueta, Kudus, Cornet and Bowen. So very, very interesting. Alvarez needs to zip it on the pitch as he gets booked too many times for mouthing off to the ref. This is one of the things that I have seen, is that he is very good at picking up a yellow. It might be one of those where he's just learning to realise that the Premier League, they're literally not taking any prisoners, are they, this season? If you mouth off, you are straight in the book. He's also made a few quite scary challenges, which has been my main concern when he's on a yellow. And I think he probably isn't very far from getting a ban for the number of yellows he's already got this season, which obviously after 7 games isn't ideal. But he is also very solid. Hopefully he can learn to stay out of the ref's book. Kera can abuse them in German. He can indeed. I'm an expat living in Turkey. Love that. Let us know where you're watching from as well. I always find it really interesting. I don't think they have any speed merchants. Very interesting. I find it funny how we get a match ban, and yet theirs was crowd trouble last night between Newcastle and PSG fans, yet nothing gets said or done. I'm convinced UEFA have it in for us. We definitely haven't got very lucky, have we, in terms of the punishments we get versus the punishments other teams get. It is one of those that they're just not going to go back on their word or change anything. If Emerson plays tonight and gets injured, we are stuffed on Sunday. Well, it looks as though from the predicted team currently, that won't be the case, so we don't need to worry too much about that. Oggy will be okay. Oggy B. Are we excited to see Ogbonna, or are we scared now after what he did for us to concede that goal? Or do we think that he's got it out of his system now, so that won't be happening again? Let us know your thoughts. Lottery numbers sorted. Yeah, if you win, can we share whatever you win? So what else have we got? Got to play Pac-Man every game in case he gets a ban. That is the other thing. If he is to be banned, we do want to make the most of Paqueta every single bit of time that we have with him, don't we? Because, as we know, he is absolutely fabulous. Don't put Ings up top alone. He can't do that job. I completely agree. So this was my predicted lineup. Luckily, it looks as though Ings isn't going to be starting up top, and we've actually got Bowen, which is going to be a lot better. It's difficult because I think Ings may well be a decent enough striker, but it just does not fit into the system that we have. We've seen when he's so isolated, which we know any striker we put up top is going to be isolated. It's just a bit of a fact of the game, isn't it? That's not going to change realistically. That he struggles, and naturally a lot of people would struggle, I think, to be able to play in that position. So there we go. Be better off with Antonio's cardboard cutout than Ings. Brutal, but potentially true. Annie Ding's hat-trick incoming. You never know. He might come off the bench, have the performance of his lifetime, and change all of our opinions. It's just difficult for him when he's up top on his own because he chases and doesn't seem to make anything happen. It doesn't seem to work out for him. And then when the ball does drop to him and he gets the odd chance, it just doesn't seem to ever come off for him, which obviously we don't get many chances, and especially Danny Ings doesn't get many chances. So he needs to be taking those. Make sure you're joining in with the conversation. Leave us comments. As I said, we're going to be running through everything that you guys are chatting about throughout the whole of the evening, in fact. So let's have a little chat tonight about Freiburg, let you know a little bit more about them. So tonight's game is at the Stade Europa Park, which seats 34,700 spectators. Rumour has it that the pitch is absolutely horrendous, and they have been pretty intimidating in terms of atmosphere previously, making it more important than ever that we are up for the game tonight. They're one of those teams, they love a flair, they like giving it the opposition abuse whenever they're on the ball. So a strong start could help to just dampen that atmosphere down a little bit. So here's hoping we could get some early goals. In their last game, I want to talk about their pitch. It's horrendous, quite frankly. So their pitch was literally falling to bits. I don't know if anyone's seen pictures of it. It was basically breaking up, especially in the four corners and both of the boxes. They were absolutely terrible. And this means that both teams actually really struggled to complete passes, and it slowed down their attacks. Now, the Bobbly pitch is likely to be a pain again tonight. I doubt they've managed to fix anything in the couple of days since their last game there. But again, it makes it more important that we can pass quickly and accurately, as well as making the most of set pieces as well whenever we can. Because ideally, if we can keep it off the pitch, just keep the ball off the pitch, it might help slightly. But yeah, we'll see what they've managed to do in terms of fixing that pitch up. They are 8th in the Bundesliga table, so they aren't to be underestimated. They've got 3 wins, 1 draw and 2 losses in their opening 6 league fixtures. They've scored a total of 7 goals and they've conceded 10 in this time. While the leagues are pretty different, we do, of course, have 4 wins, 1 draw and 2 losses, having scored 13 goals and conceded 10. That said, we have, of course, faced 2 of the hardest teams in our league in these fixtures, so it's very difficult to compare. Now, it's important that we go out tonight and we don't sit back and we actually do something. We saw against Bacca Topola, we held possession, but we really, really struggled to break the team down. And if you face a team that's quite good at sitting back behind the ball, it's incredibly difficult. Now, obviously, we've been doing well with set pieces. The interesting news is Freiburg absolutely love a set piece as well, and they're really hardworking and very disciplined. So this is likely to cause us some challenges tonight because, first of all, they should be decent in the air at defending against our set pieces, which is going to be very frustrating. And that's an area that we've done particularly well with so far this season. They're also good at wearing sides down, meaning they are likely to be looking to capitalise on one-off errors and individual mistakes, something which we know is very good at also costing us. And Freiburg come into this game on the back of a comfortable 2-0 win in the league against Augsburg even, where both of their goals came from set pieces, penalty and a corner that James Ward-Prowse himself would have been proud of. Now, we've had one more day of rest than Freiburg, but we've also had to travel, obviously, to Germany. So that probably equals things out in terms of the amount of recovery that players have managed to get. So the big question is, should we be playing an extra strong side, knowing that we face a tough test? Or is it best for us to keep players fresh and make subs as we need? It's going to be a difficult one tonight. So we will have to see. Let's take a look what everyone is saying in the comments. I think that will most likely be the starting 11. So it looks as though my starting 11 was a little bit off. Just waiting to actually have final confirmation on the exact starting 11 that we have tonight. I don't actually know. Does anyone know what time the official club starting 11 is announced? Because I can never remember with Europe. I thought it was going to be at 1:15, but it wasn't because it's not there. Joining from Ghana, great lineup. Starboy Kudus to score. Love that. Watching from far and wide. The Hammers are massive, aren't they? When you actually look at where people watch the games from and the amount of people that I have like the best conversations with on Twitter and social media, West Ham are actually massive. Like it's not just a chant. It's absolutely true. Kudus, I want to see him get a goal. We saw as well the other game where he was just running through the lines. If he can do that tonight on a bobbly pitch as well, because it's going to be difficult to make passing accurate. So if he can just carry the ball, I think it could be really, really exciting. Forget Newcastle PSG. AZ have a suspended stadium ban for their crowd trouble against us. UEFA are laughable. Indeed, it is a difficult one to take when we've obviously got the ban. And it doesn't seem that has been consistently sort of enforced across the board. Oggy got a mistake in him tonight. Let's hope it's not as costly as the last. It is true, although I feel weirdly confident with Ogbonna because I still feel like he's made his mistake now. Hopefully it's out of the way. Are we concerned that this is going to be another mistake tonight? Maybe saving Ings for Sunday in case Mickey doesn't make it. Could potentially be the thought process. Just touching on that, I am absolutely desperate, though, for Mabama. I don't know what more he can do to get a chance. I think maybe Moyes sees him as a bit young. Obviously, we've got Antonio's is injured. Ings is struggling where he plays, and most likely he's going to have his opportunity from the bench. I'm hoping that we bring him on tonight and he has a worldie of a game. Can you just imagine if he scores a hat-trick and we can finally get to see more of the talented 18-year-old? Because I've got a comment here actually from Moyes, who spoke about Mabama. He said, we're playing a really good opponent. We like Divin a lot. He's 18 years old. He's learning his trade and he's coming along really nicely. But would we start him tonight? Probably not. So that was what made me think, well, he's definitely not going to be in my predicted starting 11. But if I was actually Moyes, I would give him a chance, especially in these games where it feels like a bit of a no-brainer to even have people that maybe you trust more or have more of a historic sort of background of knowing what they're doing as a lone striker. Bring them on if you need them, but give Mabama a chance. And the big question is, how and when would you introduce Mabama and also Marshall? Because the two of them, they can play side by side. They can obviously play one or the other. But they're both doing incredibly, but they won't hang around forever if we don't play them, because as we know, talented players, they're ambitious, and that's how they've got as good as they are. So they will leave, unfortunately, if they're not given the opportunities. Kudus and Bowen be a good strike force. Completely agree with that. I think, yeah, definitely 100% Mark. The two of them have a lot of pace and also will make it very difficult because they can both cut in quite nicely. They both can run more central. As a defender, you would hate to go up against that, wouldn't you? Kudus to score and assist. Mark my words, he will win man of the match. There you go. Top Car Showroom. Heard it here first. Mark their words. He's going to win man of the match. Let's go, Irons. West Ham 21. Watching from sunny UK. Is it sunny? It's cloudy here. You must be in a sunnier bit of the UK than me. Watching from air, watching from the USA, watching from Spain. Absolutely love that. My mate supporting Burnley recons. Cornet was great for them. Cornet is another one that we really haven't got to see enough of. I was actually watching that video where he scored and the goal was disallowed because of the foul on the keeper just earlier. But yeah, I think he could be really good for us. Again, he's just one of those that hasn't seemed to have fitted into the plans in the same way that I feel quite bad for Fornals, that he is very talented. He seems like he can turn up in the right moments, but I don't know 100% how he fits. Someone said here, Peter said, Cornet has no future. It is difficult because I don't know when we will actually give him a chance. And Michael, Cornet needs a spirit level in his pocket to stay on side. He is frustratingly very offside a lot of the time if you actually watch him. So where I sit, my season ticket, I'm literally like goal line technology. So I always have quite a good view of what's onside and what's offside. And the amount of times where we have seen Cornet playing and I'm just like, don't pass it to him now because he's off. So it's a little bit frustrating. Peter's watching from a prison cell. Glad to hear that West Ham Network is reaching the prisons. Watching from Singapore, Tony. Love that. So yeah, we were asking, what are your thoughts on Cornet? Does he have a future or not? When West Ham plays, I'm going to be there. Big question. How many of you are actually hoping to travel if we can get further in Europe this season? So I know that a lot of people left it quite late when we had the Conference League, and it made it really difficult to be able to actually get flights and hotels and things like that. I was lucky that I booked it up really, really early. And I know that people came the most amazing ways, like from all over the place by plane, train and automobile. But yeah, how many of you have already got your flights booked for the final? How many of you are planning to book? And at what point do you actually press book on the hotels and the flights? That's what I want to know, because it's not always easy to make that decision, is it? Anton drinking iron brew and munching deep fried Mars bars. That's what the Scottish do every day. Oi, oi, Savloy. Anton in the house. Anton is here watching. Give me a thumbs up. X's predicted team. So yeah, this is what we ran through. We've got Fabianski, Soufal, Dinos, Oggy, Kera, Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, Paqueta, Kudus, Cornet and Bowen. So again, we have got a really strong central three there. We've got James Ward-Prowse. It seems as though Moyes is obviously really rating him. I think he will bring a lot of value in terms of the set pieces and what we can do. As I said, Freiburg are also set piece FC. So they're going to be good in the air at defending our set pieces. And they're going to be doing the same back to us, which is a little bit worrying. I think we'll do a Newcastle and smash them. I'm desperate, absolutely desperate for us to just batter a team. No injuries, cheeky 1-0 win, happy days. I would definitely take a 1-0 win. They're going to be difficult as well. Freiburg are going to be no easy team to actually fight against. If chasing the game, we could put Dinos up top and drop Alvarez into defence. Interesting. What are our thoughts on this? Alvarez does scare me a little bit with some of the slightly late tackles that he puts in. So I'd be a little bit scared that he might give away a penalty in the box, given his consistency with giving away the old yellow cards. James Ward-Prowse better be ready for the free kicks from Kudus. Yes, exactly this. So I think the pair of them are a really good mixture. So let us know what you think in the comments. But who do you think is the best person on the pitch to have in order to get us those free kicks for the set pieces that we can then convert with James Ward-Prowse? Kudus, I don't know if many of you have seen how good he is at carrying the ball and just running through the lines. He draws in fouls really, really easily. And then to have James Ward-Prowse ready to just tap them in, fantastic. Well, I say tap them in, smash them in from a very impressive distance. Very impressive. Watching from hell, Moyes hell. Wasn't Bowen limping on Saturday? So he was. It looked as though he was uncomfortable. Nothing that I saw actually came out about him being properly injured, but I know that it looked as though he was struggling. However, it appears that he must be fit again. 90% of the chat, what a strong 11 tonight. Strong, very, very strong. Watching from hot Singapore. Do we believe the Bowen rumours? Oh, so just having a look at what everyone's saying about this now as well. It's interesting with the Bowen stuff because I think I'd be very, very upset if we actually lost him. He is incredibly talented, though. In fact, what's he got? He's got less than 2 years. He's finally made it, obviously, into the England squad today, which is more than deserved with the performances that he's been putting in. James Ward-Prowse didn't make it into the England squad, though, did he? Bowen's got 5 goals and 1 assist in his first 7 Premier League games of the season, and Ward-Prowse's stats are pretty similar. But yeah, he didn't make the squad. We've got Maguire, Phillips, Henderson again. So it looks as though perhaps under Southgate it's just not meant to be, which is a big shame given James Ward-Prowse's stats. But I'm so happy for Bowen. We all said it when he didn't get called up for the last squad that it was deserved. However, with this, again, people look around more. It increases the value of players. And with all the contract stuff that's going on, it sounds like we're working on a contract to make him our highest earner, reportedly. And we know that Liverpool are sniffing around. I also heard today that Newcastle might be interested, just because they beat PSG, though. I don't think it makes them a top team. Might eat my words in about 3-4 months. But yeah, Bowen is out of contract in less than 2 years. So we are going to be keen to secure the long-term future of Bowen as soon as possible and stop his head getting turned before it can. He's 26. He's in the form of his life. And yeah, just want to tie him down. Just as a reminder, by the way, we signed him for 18.5 million from Hull City in 2020. And yeah, he's played every minute of the season so far. Last season, he only actually contributed to 12 domestic goals and had a few challenges settling in, which was a frustrating one. But it looks as though this is going to be a huge season for him. Like we said, he's already scored 5 and the season's only just beginning. So what would you do to keep Bowen? Would you be more upset about him leaving than our former number 41 as well? These are the questions. Let us know what your score predictions are for tonight's game as well. And who do you think the goal scorers are going to be? Who are you expecting to have a really good performance tonight? That's the big question. Kudus is going to score today. No future for Cornet. Does Southgate know that the 2 internationals are friendlies? Try some new players. Very true. It would be a good opportunity for him to try some players like James Ward-Prowse, see what the set pieces can bring. And then if he's not a fan of that, fine, by all means, drop him back out. Watching from sunny Cornwall, Bowen has been great so far. There is absolutely no denying that Bowen is on fire at the moment. Kudus and Bowen. Love it. Bowen getting called up to the England squad. Another question for you all, in fact. How do you feel about players getting called up for the England squad? So obviously it makes other clubs look at your players. It's a bit like you become like an overprotective partner where you're like, don't look at them. But yeah, are you excited? Do you get worried about injuries? How do you actually feel about, for me, I'm just happy that they're getting recognised for talent. And I think it shows that we're doing something very well at West Ham when we have multiple players that are in contention for these international spots. And we know it's hard to get into the England team, especially if you're not from one of the top 6 clubs and you're not one of the ones that Southgate's previously had. So it's not easy to break into it. So for players like Bowen, actually making it into the England squad, pretty impressive. The lineup is out. I've been trying to get it up on my phone while chatting away. So, as we thought, we've got Fabianski in goal. We've got Soufal, Kera, Mavropanos, and Gerd. We've got Fornals, Alvarez, and Ward-Prowse. Okay. And Paqueta, Bowen, and Kudus. So, pretty fast lineup, to be honest. Quite a lot of pace. How are we feeling, though? Are there any players that you wanted to see start which aren't there? Or are there any players that you didn't want to see start there? I'm happy personally to not see Ings, but I do think that maybe Ings will then be brought on potentially as our striker. And I wanted Mabama to be the backup striker that could hopefully get a go. So there we go. think the rumours are true. 65 mil to Liverpool. I don't know. We don't need to sell Bowen at the moment. That is the other thing. Weak negotiation tactics from Sullivan. He did the same with Rice and it didn't work. Let Stuyton take over the negotiations. So as you can see below, we have got the starting confirmed 11 just there. Nothing better than Thursday night football. Morning for me right now. People watching from all over the world, different times. Oh, the lineup is out and I'm happy this time. No comment. Are we all happy? Are we happy? Could we all be actually quite happy going into a game? What concerned me was against Bacca Topola, we had a pretty strong midfield, especially, but we really, really struggled to actually turn possession into chances. And I think that's where tonight the result is going to be determined, because even if we're holding a lot more possession, as we know, it's just new to us. We're struggling a little bit with that. We're scoring quite well from set pieces. Although in our last game, we did obviously have a very nice fluid football goal. But yeah, touching back on the pitch for anyone that wasn't watching at the time, the pitch at Freiburg is horrendous. It's basically coming up in chunks in the corners and the goal mouths. Hopefully they've managed to perform some sort of absolute miracle and hired the world's best groundsman. But unless a miracle has occurred on their pitch, I think we're going to be facing a rather bobbly pitch where we need to be careful of our touches. It was that bad in their last game. They were genuinely struggling to make passes. So it might be that we both have to capitalise on set pieces. He's going, he's signing. I'm on the bus in East Ham going Lidl. Got to go Lidl sometimes just before the game kicks off. Watching in the sunny Ramsgate. Ings and Mabama might be good. Ings, Fox in the box and divine pace and accuracy. It's very true. We know that Ings doesn't work well as a lone striker, but could we give him a little bit more support and make that work? I reckon that could be a good shout. Happy we can meet at the Carps on Sunday. In Moyes we trust. Nah, it's been shit for all 2 years. Nothing like the positivity. Do you know what always amazes me as well is I love that in football people have such different opinions. And I know that a lot of the time, like I'll say one thing, someone else will say another thing on Twitter and I'll get absolutely ripped to shreds for it. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I actually like that sometimes, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I'll leave a game and I'll go, that player actually played pretty well. And I'll go on social media and half the people are saying that player played well, and half the people are saying sell that player as the worst performance I've ever seen. So much of it is opinion, and I think as well when you start watching a certain player or looking out for a certain mistake that you're making, you can't unsee it, and it really does definitely affect the view that you see of things. So I'm absolutely loving it. Emerson on the bench. Paqueta pulling the strings tonight, hopefully. Here is hoping. I think with Paqueta in the middle, we've got such a strong centre there. We've got Fornals with his through balls. We've got Alvarez being the absolute rock at the back. We've got Ward-Prowse that can deliver the set pieces. We've got Paqueta that can just deliver the flair all over the pitch. So yeah, it's definitely good. In terms of, again, touching back on the England call-up, I'm glad we got one of our players getting called up into the England squad. Shows we've got some of the best players. James Ward-Prowse should definitely get a call-up. 100 times better than Hendo and Harry Maguire. Drop him. Definitely agree there. I don't know what more James Ward-Prowse can do, to be perfectly honest. If you look at his stats and the form that he's currently in, I doubt he'll ever be in better form. So if that hasn't tempted Southgate to get him into the lineup, I really don't know what will. It does surprise me because obviously what he can actually bring to any set piece. It's not like he only is good at free kicks or he's only good at corners. We've seen what he's done for us in terms of you just need a couple of lumps and tall players to get on the end of the ball. Even if he wants to keep players like Maguire, Slabhead that we know can get on the end of a long ball, just try James Ward-Prowse. It's a friendly, like someone said a little bit ago. Strong lineup. It is a strong lineup today. It is a very, very strong lineup. So let us know again your thoughts on the lineup and how would, if you were in charge of West Ham, how would your starting 11 have compared to the one that Moyes has listed? So Fabianski in goal, we knew was going to be the case. We've got Soufal, Kera, Dinos and Gerd at the back. We've got Fornals, Alvarez, Ward-Prowse and Paqueta. And then we have got Bowen and Kudus as well. So imagine it's going to be a quite pacey attack. That's the hope for tonight anyway, at least. Let's see the Kudus we've been wanting so bad from our amazing Kudus. 100%. And the more game time he gets, I think the more confident he's looking. First game, I was slightly worried that he was taking a bit of time to settle in. I say that. He only got half an hour and it took, basically it was full time by the time we settled into the game, but it's a new league. It's not always going to be immediate. If the pitch is that bad, how are they allowed to get away with it? This is a difficult one because I think when the pitches get so bad, there isn't anywhere else that a team can play. And sometimes you do see it with like very well established clubs that they'll just try like a new turf, or they'll change something with the groundsman, and it just will basically pull up in chunks. I'm very interested to see how good or bad the pitch is tonight. Like I said, very, very bad last game. So yeah, hopefully it's not as bad as we're thinking. It will obviously be difficult to get the counter-attacks in quickly if basically there's chunks everywhere. So yeah, and let me know as well. I'm not seeing many comments about how many of you would be able or would be willing to travel for Europa League fixtures in the future, and at what point you take the risk and book up for the final. That's the question I want to know the answer to, because it's scary. I remember we booked for the final for Prague. I think it was about 20 minutes before full time in the game that secured our place. So, but even then I was like, I've been let down by West Ham so many times, as we all have. Is it stupid? Like, I didn't want to jinx it as well. Talking about jinxing it. So many like things that worry me that I've caused the West Ham performance that we sometimes see. The pitch has always been bad at Freiburg. I've heard it's not fantastic most of the time. Could be a turf game with that pitch. What is the bench? This is a very good question. Let me get the bench up for you all. Run you through who we have as backups. We have got, oh, it just fell off my phone. We have got Areola, Anang, Zuma, Cornet, Ings, Ogbonna, Benrahma, Souček, Coventry, Emerson, and the almighty Mabama on the bench. So we haven't got any Marshall there. I just want to see Mabama. I'm just desperate, absolutely desperate. But yeah, we've got quite a bit of youth, and we've also got quite a bit of strength on that side. So not too bad. We've got a little bit of pace in Emerson. We've got Ings, obviously, that Moyes might try and bring on, but we've also got Mabama. So I wonder if we could get a few goals up, would we be more likely and more inclined to put Mabama on than Ings? Here's hoping. Hopefully we can break the record of the most European games unbeaten. I don't know what the record is, actually, but that would be absolutely incredible. Southgate doesn't know his arse from his elbow. I agree, because I think I just can't believe James Ward-Prowse isn't getting in. But then again, it means he's less likely to get injured. That's the positives of it, right? International football is a waste of time. Peter is not a fan. Who is playing on the left for us? You can see the lineup just below here. Let's hope the players aren't too tired to play Newcastle Sunday. I'm hoping that we can actually do a decent bit of squad rotation today. And as you can see, we've got enough players on the bench to be able to actually give people a bit of time resting up. And on the other side, remember, Newcastle, they had a good game yesterday against PSG, but they also ran their hearts out. So there's every chance that they're going to be a bit tired, a bit jet lagged, and hopefully they'll be so distracted by the performance last night in the Champions League that they're not going to really be 100% focused. And we can capitalise on that. Switch it to the home game till the pitch is sorted. Again, this does, I suppose, depend on how bad the pitch is. I imagine they can't very easily just switch home game to away game, because if you only realise a couple of days before you've got a problem, I imagine you can't just send the team the other way and all the fans that have tickets. Obviously, it wouldn't really work to let them down with the dates. So I imagine there's a fair bit of logistics that goes into switching it up. Hopefully, like I said, the pitch isn't that bad. New stadium as well. That's the thing, though. When with a new stadium comes a new pitch, comes a new everything in terms of how you have to actually care for that pitch. And I've actually got a few friends that are groundsmen, and the amount of work and science that actually goes into maintaining the pitches is absolutely ridiculous. So I think you only have to make the smallest mistake or try something slightly different with a different, I can't remember what they're saying, like a breed of grass. It's not a breed, strain of grass. I don't know. But you change something up slightly, and I think they can cause a lot of problems, which appears to have happened for them. Yeah, injuries because of the pitch. That is my main concern. If we got any injuries, that would be absolutely awful. I'll be watching the final at home in my flat, as I couldn't justify the expense. I'm with you on that, Matt. And I think I will have a newborn baby at that time. So things are happening quickly. Life comes at you fast. So I too will not be at the final, but I will be watching, and I'm sure putting out loads of videos on West Ham Network as well. We're going live over on the Matchday Live. So head over to the Matchday Live if you haven't already seen. We are going to be covering all the action tonight. So please, please, please head over now. keep up to date with the guys. They're going to be running you through everything. And then there's also going to be a review of the game. So basically, you can stay with us all night tonight. You do not need to go anywhere else. And even if you are watching on TV, which I know many of you are going to be, keep this on in the background because we want to hear your thoughts throughout the whole game so we get loads of engagement going. Let's make this a proper chatty forum of all the videos tonight. It's going to be great fun. Get those likes in for Holly, her first live. It is my first live, so thank you so much to everyone that has tuned in. It's been great fun. I was a little bit scared, of doing a live for the first time, so hopefully I've done okay. Give me the feedback so I can keep improving. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for all the comments as well. It's lovely chatting with you all. You make it very easy to talk to myself for what has now been 46 minutes. But yeah, if you haven't, please head over to the Matchday Live because we want to make sure that you are not missing out on any of the action. Those guys are far better than me at presenting anyway. So please go and take a look. And finally, how's the pregnancy going? Do you know what you're having yet? I do indeed. I'm having a girl. So I am already in the process of growing the next West Ham women's footballer. So it's going well though, thank you. I'm feeling a lot better than I was. And I am 29 weeks pregnant. So I've got 11 weeks to go. I'm due on Christmas Eve, so I probably won't be at the Boxing Day game, basically. Trying to make as many games as I can before it all happens, and need to work out at what age babies are allowed to come to the West Ham Stadium. That's the main question. But yeah, so very, very exciting times. Good news is, though, I'm not going anywhere. And if anything, I'm actually going to be on West Ham Network more because I won't be out and about as much. You might just have a crying baby in the background, but we can drown that out, I'm sure. So yeah, loads and loads. And a name, Russella. Russ is my role model. So Russella was one of the names that I was considering very, very closely. But yeah, Christmas Eve baby due, new hammer, trying to just grow the squad basically. So thank you so much for watching. Like I said, head over now to the Matchday Live on West Ham Network. You don't have to leave us at all tonight. We've got that and then we've got the review show. So we've literally got everything over there. If you're still watching this, go away. Go and watch Russ and Anton because they've got the review show going. And yeah, don't want you missing out. Holly and the Ivy. There we go. I heard it here first. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great one. I'm actually disappearing now and hope you all have a fantastic evening. Come on, you irons. We've not got long till kickoff. And as I said, we're switching over right now to the Matchday Live. So go and watch it on West Ham Network. Stay with us all night. Leave us the comments. Get engaged. Let's do this. Irons.